So, I mean, Zoom is an interesting thing, and they've been in the news lately, right? And there was even like that whole thing that happened with Zoom, that happened with this other company where like Zoom's stock ticker is ZM, right? Some other company has ZOOM because so many people are like, whoa, Zoom is a thing. They're just finding out that Zoom is a thing. This happened. This happened because people thought this company, Zoom Technologies Inc., which is an OTC, it's a pink stock. It went from trading at $2, okay, to a peak of $22. No, $20. I'm sorry, almost $21. And it's still trading way above anywhere it's ever traded in the past year. And then most OTC stocks slowly, I would just take a guess. I'm not sure. Don't sue me. Zoom Technologies Inc. Slowly, the company probably bled out. It couldn't become profitable. And so it was hovering at 11 cents a share in 2015. Whoa, that's not even a cent. A half cent a share in 2016. A tenth of a penny in 2017. 1 penny. Oh, that's a big jump. 1 penny in 2018. 28 cents in 2019. And then today, $10 a share. Because dummies on the market are like, literally somebody called their broker and said, buy Zoom. And the broker typed, what's the ticker for it? I don't know. I think it's ZOOM. Okay, good. That's the one. So anyways, the real Zoom company hasn't been doing too bad. Like if you look at Zoom here in January, was trading at $68 a share. Let's just see what it bottomed out at. Before anything of this stuff was happening, $62.50 a share, right? And all the way spiked up. The same day the other one spiked up to $160 a share. This isn't a tiny company. It's a publicly traded company. It's led by this guy, Eric Yuan? Isn't that like money? Wouldn't that be like my name is Greg Dollar Bill? That's a great name. Greg Dollar Bill. So we've got this huge spike. The company's worth a lot. This isn't like a startup. This is a $34 billion company. That's a juggernaut. It's a juggernaut. It's a big company. And the thing that I wanted to talk about that I thought was interesting from a tech perspective was that they're having trouble. So what I guess people were doing was like Zoom produces some sort of a link that you can use to join the video conference, right? And I've used other video conference services where they do the same thing. It's just like a link, website.com/conference/Omatum. And like anybody with that link can just jump in, right? But I mean, come on. I think most of us here are developers or know tech a little bit. That's not an exploit to just be like, this was a decision that they made to use this. And, maybe they had obfuscation in that. So it'd be like website.com conference/googly gook, right? Some UUID. And what people were doing apparently is they were creating, they had bots, and the bot would scan that space here and reply. So probably do some code 200 ? If that was a real thing, right? So it would kind of like go through and just sort of say, okay, they're generating unique IDs for these calls. Or for these conferences. So the bot would scan the space, code 200 if it was a real thing, which is essentially let you just join a conference, right? And then people would Zoom bomb, and they would just join your conference and start playing fart noises or something like that. I don't really know what a Zoom bomb would look like. So this, to me, is this an exploit? I don't think so. I really don't think so. I don't think that's an exploit. I don't think that's what an exploit looks like. I think that is lazy code. That's like, what would you do differently here, right? So if you were going to create this is the link to the conference. This is probably the smart way to do it. A UUID. We'll just UUID like this. Maybe a UUID 32. Those things, the chance of collision on UUID 32 is like, it's the same chance as throwing like a bowling ball out into space, and somebody on Mars throws another bowling ball and those things collide, right? Like it's a very low chance of collision. You're probably going to be pretty safe there. So that's your link. How hard would it be to say like, I have to generate a token for each attendee, right? So you just invite people in. So now your new link looks like this. It looks like UUID, question mark, T equals another UUID. Because like really, if I don't think they were doing this, I would really like to know what they're doing. I bet they didn't want 32 character long links. I bet that they wanted like a UUID 8. So it looks like this is what happened. People were setting up Zoom calls without passwords. And they were sending them out. And then they're like, somebody hacked into my Zoom call that was actually public, right? Because they didn't want to set passwords up or whatever. They didn't want to, just whatever. Because that's there we go. There's meeting ID. So that's tiny boy. That's 9 numbers. 9 numbers. So it would be really easy, right? Scan from 000, 000, 000, 000 to 999, 999, 999. That's only 999 million. It sounds like a lot, but it's only 999 million or a million. We could even say, a billion potential numbers to pick from. That's not that many. That's not that many to just guess on. Like, you could probably do requests passively to just look for headers that would tell you if that's a thing. Right. So Comet Blazer, that's another thing. So the kid has a police force. This kid edited a hyperlink for a government site to access unprotected content, and the government freaking threw him in jail. He wasn't hacking anything. You're not hacking anything. You're just taking advantage of somebody not setting a password. This is what I would say. Zoom wasn't hacked. It was shitty code / trusting the user to set a password. So what they could have done to avoid all this crap is just like, you only can invite people into calls. For a $33 billion company or $34 billion company, that should be a discussion that comes up. They may have just said like, well, we don't want to have everybody type in a password. So then the other thing they could have done, they could have just had that link. They could have said, well, you can't invite people to conferences. You can't just give somebody a conference ID. What you're going to have to do is you're going to have to use a token. And we're going to mail out invitations to everybody, or we're going to give you a list of invitations that you can mail out or whatever. And that would widen out this space. It's a really interesting thing. I don't see this as this is not a hack. But what I think is crazy about it is like Zoom. If you were just type in like Zoom video, and then we go to news. Look at this. Gotta improve privacy. Look at this. Problem with privacy. That's a good one. That's a positive one. Don't use it. It's not safe. Don't use it. Google said don't use it. It pisses me off that this is like a tech story, because what happens is these stupid writers, tech writers in the media, they just jump on and they're like, yep, it was hacked. When in reality, it wasn't hacked. It was just users not using the product correctly, right? It's like, do you really go after a knife manufacturer because somebody cuts their finger, you know? But what I think happened here, if I had to guess, Zoom, which has this soaring stock, which just sort of came out of nowhere, that just very quickly adopted to pick up this new challenge of all these remote workers, probably spent an unreal amount of money to make this happen. I think they spent a lot of money. I think this is all marketing. This is definitely marketing. This is them being like, hey, get out there. Like, let's send out a bunch of emails. Let's run Facebook campaigns that say like, working from home, use Zoom. It can do a solution here. And that's why they got a lot of adoption. Because there are other solutions you could use. You could use Blue Jeans, which is not great. But the big player in the field is Cisco WebEx. Because if you're like, that's what the U.S. Senate should be using. They're the ones that have been around forever. They're the ones that like for sure know what they're doing. Like, super security oriented. It's usually a piece of flaming crap. And that's where this story kind of gets interesting. I think my guess, I'm pretty sure of it because it just makes sense from a media perspective. Anything that you're seeing negative about Zoom is likely you're seeing Cisco buying articles, because Cisco has a real reason not to like Zoom. A real reason. So if we look up Eric here, we'll look up his Wikipedia. So here's Eric Yuan. In 1997, Yuan joined Cisco WebEx. In 2007, he was the vice president of engineering of WebEx. As of March 2020, like he's now running Zoom. He went from WebEx and he now runs Zoom. I think he left Cisco and joined Zoom. These are two different companies. And I think Cisco is not too happy about that. And so they're looking for any chance to be like, look at how crappy Zoom is. And they're probably paying a lot of money to make that happen. I think that it's like tech people, we can smell BS in these stories, but it's weird to see one happening in real time. It's like really weird. Look at this humble startup Zoom getting slammed by big boy Cisco. Let me just check. What's Cisco doing today? Poor Cisco. I mean, look at Cisco. Look at poor Cisco. Nobody cares about you, Cisco. Nobody cares. Look at you. You had your heyday back here, but now nobody cares.